Writing a book review is painful when you really don't like the book. So I was invited to review a book. On the face of it, it seemed kind of right up my alley. Then things start to go downhill. It was almost certain that any review that came out of me for this book was going to seem vicious. I went on Twitter and I posted this. Writing a book review is so painful when you ... don't like the book. My early drafts just sound vicious, so I'm trying to figure out how to be helpful, a helpful human being, not a flamethrower, but also without being ambiguous. Ugh. It turns out that many people have been wondering about this. In the thoughtful responses that I got back to this, it's very clear that there are different avenues for next steps, including some that I never thought of and that really shaped the decision I made, which I'll get to at the end of this video. So the first response I got was from a colleague of mine. Serious question, why review it? So I did respond. I said I agreed before beginning the book, which is true always in my case. Every time I say yes to something, it's based on an abstract. Now that I've begun, it seems strange to withdraw. At a macro level, if all critical reviewers withdrew, the journal in question might only end up with favorable treatments, but I'm still considering it. Then I got another comment, which was completely different. I think we need more negative book reviews and opportunities for authors to respond. Interesting idea. And then I'm starting to think in my mind, oh my gosh, which is worse? Having to come across as a vicious sort of hatchet man in a review, or doing that and then having to have a kind of fight in the journal itself where the author responds and then I would be almost behooved to respond. We all know these kinds of knock 'em sock 'em down debates that happen. By the end of it, it's like two grown people rolling around in the mud. Ironically, to that response, that almost put another small pebble on the scale of maybe the answer here is to withdraw. Then I got another comment, very, very sort of nuanced one, and it said as follows: what can others, writers and readers, learn from your reading of this book? You owe it to them to be honest, so you can't withhold criticism, but you can depersonalize your review so that it isn't about the author, but about the ideas. I agree with all of this. Reviews, when this art form is taken to its highest mode, highest form, follows this to a T. I do think that there's a myth that you can depersonalize critiques of academia. You're not a copywriter for Gap, and you can say, listen, you can critique my copy for the children's blinds set or the end table, and I won't take it personally because I don't give a rat's ass about that. If you talk to me about something I've written and I've taken 15 years to write, I don't think depersonalization really works. And then comes the question, I think this is the first line of this, what can others learn from my reading of this book? This is where I have to acknowledge my own limitations. If I am so critical of this book, then I have to be honest that a reader might learn nothing or gain nothing from my reading of the book. And I'll close with one that I think it really captures, a good deal of my uncertainty. I totally sympathize. On the one hand, I try to recognize the care and effort that the author put into the book, but on the other, I think about the intellectual stakes behind book reviews. Is it useful to only highlight the positive? Can critical comments lead to useful debate? And then it continues, sometimes I worry that academia has moved in a direction where the desire for collegiality has led to a field void of intellectual conflict and debate. Of course, it also leads to a much nicer, more supportive group of colleagues. Short answer, there's no good answer. I'm just wondering what you all think. What would you do in my situation? What questions would you ask? What questions should I have asked beforehand? Now I suppose I owe you an answer as to what I did. Well, I eventually came down to the conclusion that I might not be the right person for this review. Since the book in question is not a dangerous volume, climate change denialism or something of this nature, where there is value in saying, do not take this book seriously. But a kind of, just one of the books that is published each year, is there value to going so far out in order to bring people's attention to not engage with it? I have written a message to the journal to say, I don't think I am the right person for this review, and I would like you to consider reassigning it. I feel very sheepish about it. I feel uncomfortable. The only thing I feel responsible about is that I am way ahead of the deadline. At least I didn't wait till the few weeks before to crack this book open so that the journal and the author can get the time frame that they deserve as professionals. If you've made it all the way through for watching this admittedly very strange video, give a like, share this video with someone, subscribe to the channel if so inspired, and I will see you next time.